Hello, everyone. I'm Robyn Grable, the founder of Talents Ascend and the Ascend Collective, and your host for Ascending Beyond Barriers. Welcome. Ascending Beyond Barriers is an inspiring podcast dedicated to showcasing the remarkable journeys of small business founders who have faced and overcome significant challenges on their path to success. Each episode delves into the personal stories of entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds, highlighting their unique experiences, struggles, and triumphs. All right, today we have a special guest. I'm super excited to have Ashley Sankar on. She's the founder of NineteenTwenty, a bold and creative force driven by purpose, passion, and personal style. Growing up just south of Atlanta, Ashley always felt like the odd one out, but she embraced her uniqueness as a strength, using creativity as her voice. After serving 9 years as a logistics officer in the U.S. Army and gaining over a decade of supply chain expertise, Ashley made the courageous decision to pursue her love for fashion. Her on-the-go lifestyle inspired her to design a product that was both practical and expressive. The idea led to a patented prototype and the launch of NineteenTwenty. Today, Ashley and her husband run the company together, creating innovative, size-inclusive products designed to simplify life and celebrate individuality. With a mission rooted in impact, NineteenTwenty aims to one day donate their jackets to individuals experiencing homelessness, proving that fashion can have both heart and purpose. Ashley, thanks so much for being here. I'm super excited because obviously I reached out to you after you were on Shark Tank, which we will get to. But I love watching Shark Tank, even though I have a service business and I could never be on Shark Tank. But every time I see a veteran or hear a veteran on there, I immediately try to reach out to them. So thanks so much for connecting with me and then being on the podcast today. But tell us about your time in the Army. What was your choice to go in the Army? And then what did you take from it that you now use as an entrepreneur?
Most definitely. Well, thank you so much, Robyn, for reaching out and having me. And so happy to be here and share more. But yeah, I would say when I joined the military, my dad was shocked. He's prior military,
Okay.
but he was enlisted, and so he's like, "Are you sure you want to join the army?" And I was like, "Anything has to be better than being here." No. But I was raised by a military dad, so he was strict.
Yeah.
But I knew when I first started that I was actually slotted to go to a military academy, one of the top five.
Mhm.
But honestly, coming up, like the requirements are quite rigorous. From
Yeah.
an academic standpoint, I was kind of missing it by maybe 2 points or so on
Wow.
the ACT. So
Mhm.
I went through a preparatory program. I had gotten, my congressional offers and everything, but they said, "Hey, you go to this, military school, you do 1 year, you'll be able to go on to the military academy."
Okay.
But honestly, that did not work out the way that I thought. I didn't know they had me geared for an engineering track, and it was a lot of
Oh,
crazy things. So I ended
okay.
up actually switching over to Army ROTC.
Okay.
So I went to a military school called New Mexico Military Institute, went there, studied,
Oh,
did
okay.
ROTC, and commissioned out of there. And
Nice.
then I went on to finish my bachelor's degree at Auburn University.
Nice.
And so, originally I wanted to do law for the Air Force, but just made a complete 180.
Okay.
I saw that, you know what, logistics, I think if I decide I don't want to do 20 years in the military,
Yeah.
supply chain and logistics is very valuable outside of the military. So that's what I
Yeah.
decided to do. And
Okay.
I've always been somebody that's very forward looking.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the things that I would say that I took away from the military, and especially the Army, is a lot of people that know me say, you're very scrappy.
Mm,
And the
okay.
thing with the Army is, you'll have a whole goal or a list of things that you need to do, and you'll have a very small amount of tools that you'll be given to accomplish that goal.
Yes.
And you can tell them, hey, I need this and I need that. And they'll be like, you don't got it, figure it out. You know what I mean? And so
Exactly.
that is what business is like. If you don't come from money and you don't have, an
Yeah.
unlimited pool, you just have to figure out how to get it done.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. All right. So let's jump to Shark Tank. How many times did you apply before you actually got on air? I hear it sometimes can be like a long time before you go from the application process to getting on air.
Yeah, so we actually applied in person in 2023.
Wow.
We went to a casino in Las Vegas, and it was the craziest thing I've ever been through. There were over 800 businesses there to pitch their ideas. And
Wow.
I felt like, you know how a lot of people have this like perception that like inventors are crazy and oh,
You're
mad scientists working. Some of those
right.
people were, so
Wow.
so we went there, and at the time I was with my sister. She's very bold. She's like, listen, we are not going to be number 800 in line. We have to be in the beginning because we have to be memorable. So
Yeah.
we waited, woke up at 3 a.m. It didn't start till 8, waited in line like 6 hours. You get 1 minute to pitch your idea, and they're going to see 800. So we're like, okay, this has to be good. So
Yeah.
afterwards, we did the 1 minute. They loved us, had us
Nice.
do an application. But ultimately, they said, hey, you're a little bit new. We had been already operating in the business for 4 months.
Wow.
Um, we had a good amount of sales, but they were like, hey, it's a little bit too new. We'll call you next year. Um,
Really? Okay.
yes, my husband was so upset. He was like, I'm never watching Shark Tank again. I was
Well,
like,
because
whatever, it's
they
fine. It's
have
fine.
people on there that don't even have revenue. Like they have one prototype of something sometimes. It's interesting. Okay.
100%. It's just an idea, So we went on about our business, still continue to do good,
Huh.
viral video, and they called us back actually. They said,
Nice.
hey, are y'all still interested? And I was like, oh wow, okay. But it is a lot of 6 months to even get to where you film. And
Wow.
every step of the way, they tell you, hey, you can be cut, you can be cut, you can be cut. So it is a very like tumultuous process and very
Yeah.
stressful. And you cannot tell anyone, not even our family, like our parents
Really?
didn't know. Yeah, no one knew except my husband and I.
Oh my gosh. Is that
Yeah.
I don't even know why that would be, but I guess it but you think about it, there's only 4 entrepreneurs on each episode
Mm-hmm.
typically, and you have
Mm-hmm.
all that many. I mean, they have to go through a pretty rigorous process. And I mean, I've connected with a couple of others, Busy Baby, if you know Beth,
Okay.
Haley Marie from Torch Warrior Wear. I don't know
Oh,
if you know
okay.
Haley.
Yeah.
So I've connected with a few of them. Like I said, every time I hear they're a veteran or connected with the military, I always try to reach out and make that connection. But and then I was on a pitch competition a couple of years ago, and the panelists, all the judges were Shark Tank winners. So the
Really?
bug bite lady was on there, and the
Oh,
guy that
okay.
Michael Bernardi, that he and his sister invented the cup cover, so like you can protect your drinks. Anyway,
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
love
Mm-hmm.
Shark Tank, love to watch. I've learned a lot from it. So what did you take from that experience then, and how did that change your business, if at all? What happened after?
What I took from that is like, there's never one thing that's just going to be like that put us on the map. Like
Yeah.
there is no golden ticket. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest fallacy in business is you just
Yeah.
think, yeah, it's just gonna get in there, and it's like, not necessarily. Like the name of the game is like, not only do you, yes, you want to do well, but it's also just kind of about surviving and
Yeah.
rebranding yourself and
Wow.
not getting taken out by these little waves, because it's a lot of little waves in business, and sometimes you hit big waves.
Yeah.
But for us, I think we are a unicorn in the way that we were already viral without Shark Tank, right?
Okay.
So
Good for you.
the
Congratulations.
night that, thank you, yeah, the night that, to put some stats in there, right? So the night that we aired, and we're going to air again this Friday, but the
Really?
night that,
Okay.
yeah,
Awesome.
they're going to reshow it. So the night that we aired, November 8th, 2.9 million people watched, right?
Wow.
Well, my highest viewed video is 66 million views. I have a
Wow.
video. I have a video right now. I think it's at 5 million or something like that. So we were already
Yeah.
out there. If you ask people about us, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's the Spirit Airlines girl." Because I have a video at 35 million from me transforming my jacket in front of a Spirit Airlines counter.
Love it.
They don't know us from Shark Tank. Shark Tank helped us tap into people that like aren't as active on social media and stuff like
Sure.
that. But we were already kind of out there in our, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So it was a little boost of sales, but
Yeah.
ultimately it kind of helped us from a fundraising standpoint
Okay.
have that backing,
Yeah.
because a lot now of the investors you're looking at, they are from like that prior generation where they maybe don't understand Instagram and stuff that much, but they understand Shark Tank, and Shark Tank still
Yeah.
carries a lot of weight. So that
Sure.
has been really good for us.
Yeah. And did you get to meet each of the sharks, or do you have to like just stand on your mark and like not talk to them?
Well, yeah. I mean, so when you get in there, like we're in there for maybe an hour or so, and we had the longest segment of that night of
Yeah.
about 15 minutes. Usually it's
Yeah.
anywhere from 8 minutes to 15 minutes. You're in there for sometimes an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh my
And
God.
as soon as you finish that pitch, you don't practice anything else except the pitch. As soon
Yeah.
as you finish it, they start jumping on you. What about this? 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 And you're just trying to, you're like, I'm trying to tread water.
I'm
You
trying to
know what I mean?
breathe.
Yeah, and that's how, you've watched the show. That's how
Yeah.
some people get themselves in trouble
They
where
do.
they're not managing them and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, and they ignore one and then they're like, do you not like me because I'm a woman? So
Right.
yeah, so when you get in there, you got to manage them. And it's like, manage multimillionaires? Okay.
Right.
But so you just got to take their questions and you're getting to talk to them and, they're asking you a lot of questions and you have interactions with them and get their feedback. So yeah, you do get to meet them.
Awesome. That's fantastic. All right, tell us about I love your coats. Love them because I think it's so ingenious that I mean, I've been at the airport many times when my bag was overweight and it's like, what do you do with the extra? Tell us what we do with it, Ashley.
Yes. So yeah, so I have two utility patents on the conversion of
Amazing.
a jacket into a tote bag and a
Yep.
pillow and a blanket. So, if your bag's ever overweight, you can zip the bottom part off. And that's one thing that I would explain that's different about my product from other convertible products. A lot
Yeah.
of other convertible products require you to give up the entire jacket
Yes.
versus the way my design is it's the bottom part. So the
Yeah.
extension turns into a bag. Before, they've had inventions where, yes, you can change the length of products,
Right.
but when you take that extension off, people just kind of throw it in the corner. And I said, well, there's got to be another way to repurpose this piece of material as well. So
Amazing.
ours turn into bags.
So is that how you came up with the idea? How did you come up with making clothes that change into something?
Yes. So so I've been everywhere from honestly, Indiana to India, and I love to shop. Like, and I
Okay.
overdo it. When I go, I have a lot. When I come back, I have too much. And
Right?
so, you're taking those big bags and one of the trips they're like, "Hey, especially on these international carriers,
Yeah.
they charge for your carry-on if it's overweight."
Oh
So
wow.
they're like, hey, this is gonna be $100. I'm like, oh no. So I had a hoodie and I just kind of tied it up and tied the bottom. And I
Okay.
was able to stuff some extra clothes in there, remove about 8 pounds. So the whole way home, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, okay, okay, this has to be, and I'm doing sketches. I get home, I start doing research. I'm like, I don't see anything like this. So then I start partnering with a patent attorney to do some research for me.
Nice.
And then we filed for the provisional, and the rest was history, honestly.
Gosh, good for you. So
Thank
what's
you.
the so tell us about the logo. So 1920, is there a significance to that number? How did you come to name the company that?
Yeah, so 1920 pays homage to the Great Gatsby era where
Okay.
fashion actually meant something. So if you look at a lot of our stuff, we do different colors that are
Yeah.
against the grain from the industry. If, Lululemon's doing peach, Aloe's doing peach, and so's doing peach. But we like to be able to put something out there that says it resonates with the individual. Oh, hey, this speaks to me. I
Yeah.
really like this. So you'll see cheetah, zebra, and then
Yeah.
sometimes you'll just see regular black. So that's
Nice.
where the name came from.
That's awesome. And the logo, I love, different things. So the nine and the two kind of come together there. Was that just a design element that somebody came up with for you?
So actually, yeah, like I had drawn that before, and
Really?
I had kind of drawn it, and then I was looking to see, but I, you'll probably put the logo up there. This is how the
Yes.
logo started, and it was
Ah,
very just kind of, and I was
okay.
like, that just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But one thing about it is I didn't want to name the company 1920 originally. Originally,
Okay.
I wanted to name it Perfidious. Now, I don't know if a lot of people know what perfidious means, But my husband was like, that's a little evil. Like, I don't really like that name. So,
How do you even spell that either?
yes. But all perfidious means is something that appears one way, but it's really not. And
Ah,
that's what our
okay.
products are. You know,
Yeah,
you may look like, oh, that's just a jacket. And we're like, oh
yeah,
my God. You know, so that's
yeah.
so I got my perfidious in the logo because a lot of people don't see the nine. They just think it says 120. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, awesome. All right, very cool. I love those. I love those kind of little nuances of things. So,
Yes.
what's next for 1920? Do you have different products you're coming out with? I know part of your mission is to then give your jackets to the homeless people out there, which is an amazing mission. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Because there are so many veterans who fit into that category, unfortunately. So, what's next for 1920?
Yeah, most definitely. So now we're getting into convertible activewear,
Okay,
convertible um camping gear.
nice.
Yes. So we're super excited about that. And with the camping gear, I'm hoping too that that's going to be perfect for people who are not, housed. I think that that
Yeah.
would be like an awesome opportunity. But we're also in the process of fundraising. You know, every year we have really struggled to meet the customer demand. Last year we ran out. We're just
Wow.
always, you know what I mean? So, and it's
Yeah.
like, I want to kind of also get my price point down where like more people
Okay.
can have this product because I feel like it's something that everybody could use, you know?
Absolutely.
I don't want to grow myself into this like unreachable brand because I also know growing up I did not come from a lot of money either. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I
Yeah.
want to be affordable and I want to be able to do the one for one match as well. And what'll help us get closer to that one for one match is bringing our costs down. So with
Okay.
investment, we'll be able to increase how much we order, thus save more money, and then, kind of move from there.
So, yeah, I mean, this podcast is all about ascending beyond barriers. So, tell us about one of the biggest challenges. And it sounds like you've had them with, funding and being able to keep stock. But what's been probably one of the biggest challenges that you might not have thought would have been a challenge that you've had to overcome?
Honestly, I would say, hmm, maybe being the face of the brand. You know,
Okay.
I think that's a good thing and that's a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was actually just kind of talking about this a little bit, but like being a female founder, anything they can talk about on you, they're going to talk about on you. Your hair, your weight, how you look, your outfit. And I think for me personally, that was tough because it's
Yeah.
like I'm just trying to sell my product. I don't,
Right.
and you know what I mean? People are calling me all sorts of things and telling me this. And there came a
Wow.
period where I just like mentally I could not handle it. And my husband asked like his sister, who I'm really close with, she's in a lot of videos. He said, "Hey, can you give her a break so that she can just breathe and you film for her because we live and die by like we post 1 to 2 times a day."
Wow.
And so she took it over for me. I was able to get it back together and come back into it, but I would say that has been one of the hardest things. But then also to the other side, anytime a lot of our followers, because across all the platforms, across I think the four, we have over 642,000 followers, right?
Wow.
And anytime people see my product on somebody other than me, they think it's stolen. And I'm like,
Okay.
they're like, "Oh, y'all stole this from this girl." And I'm like, "Guys, I'm trying to scale this brand. Like, other people have to model
I
this
can't be
jacket."
everywhere. That's
You know
funny.
what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
And I don't want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's one thing. But then what I'll say too is like the funding piece for sure, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people on Shark Tank, they'll be like, "Oh, we raised $1.5 million from friends and family." Our friends and family
Yeah.
didn't give
No.
any money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that has been the biggest barrier to entry, which the military helped me with that because I was able to, use the money that I saved from that to
Nice.
invest it into this business. But though
Nice.
those have been the hurdles for sure.
Yeah. Wow. So what's your biggest accomplishment? So let's go there and talk about a surprise, something that happened good that you didn't expect out of all of this.
Mm. Um, I mean, I would say honestly that just all the support that I've gotten from people I don't know. Like personally, I'm a very introverted person. You couldn't tell because I'll people will be like, "Oh, she has no social anxiety." I'm like, "Y'all have no idea." Anyway,
Right?
but I do what I have to do. But
Yeah.
I'm very shy. And so like we have pop-ups, 1 to 2 pop-ups every year in New York. And people show
Wow.
up and they wait in line and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to meet you and take pictures with you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, really?" Like and it's just it's so amazing when you build something.
Yeah.
Total strangers will support you more than people that you've known your entire life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's
And I
awesome.
would say that is what I'm so grateful for because those people are the people that keep me going, that keep me posting, that
Yeah.
keep me creating. Because if you rely on your inner circle, you may not do anything.
Yeah.
You may not even make it. If
Yeah.
you know, so you need to build your foundation on something that you truly believe in, not, oh, well, my friends are buying from me and my family. No, no, no. You can't do that. The business won't survive, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. No, it's very true because I mean we're even experiencing that. We're almost 7 years old, and just knowing, and we bootstrapped from the very
Mm,
beginning, and so it is tough. And then you reach out to people, and they want to help. So the point there is ask
mhm,
for the help, right? Ask
right.
for people to, because they're out there willing to do it and willing to help you. So amazing. So how is it running the business with your husband and working 24/7 with your husband? How's that dynamic?
You know, it's funny, we met in the same way. Like we
Yeah.
were actually like working on a pitch deck because I have like several investor meetings coming up.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like the input and he's inputting, right? And so I'm
Okay.
telling him, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I said, this is funny. This is how we met because we met in high school in JROTC. And we first kind of started out as kind of
Wow.
colleagues and then friends. And like he and I were the only ones that really took the program seriously. So that's how we started working together. And I said, oh, here we are, 11 years later, 11 years of marriage. We've been dating, together for 16.
Wow.
So I would say it's not for everybody. He and
Yeah.
I are very, very close, and we're also opposites. So there's
Okay.
certain things I just don't care about, and he cares a lot about them. So I say, you deal with that. And then there's certain stuff he just doesn't understand, and I'm just like, okay, scoot over. Like I got this. Like, you know what I mean? And we balance each other out well. I think that's how we don't tire each other out.
Nice.
But honestly, I wouldn't rather go through this with anybody else because the thing is, I'll build anything, but I'll get like, I almost have ADHD in a way where I'm like, all right, what's next? What's
Right.
next? And he'll be like, you need to stay right here. Like, we're doing this, I'll be like, no, no. He'll be like, no, no, you need to stay right here. So he's an operator and I'm like a builder. So
Yeah.
it works.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, my husband doesn't have really anything to do with the business other than just supporting me, and that he's great at that. But I have Neela who keeps me grounded, my chief of staff,
Oh.
because I am like, oh, I have this idea, and oh, we could do this, and oh, yeah, oh, wait, I saw this shiny object, and oh, I laughed because probably the last 2 Mondays I've come into the office and said, I have a Shark Tank idea. And she's like, no, no, no. So I
Gonna
have
put a
that. I
pin.
have that at the office too. Somebody keeps me grounded. So that's important. All right. So this episode will air on Women Veterans Day.
Oh,
What's your
cool.
advice to anyone out there that's thinking about, as a female, going into the military?
Yeah, you know what? I would say honestly, like the military is a good place to go if you are just getting started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you don't know what you want to do, and I've always given people that advice. If you don't know, they're going to give you the tools, the foundational tools to be successful. And if you want to stay in there and do 20 years, do 20 years. If you don't, use what you got and get out. But when
Yeah.
you do get in, the job you pick, make sure it's something that works in and outside of the military. Don't go in there. I love our cooks, but don't go in there and sign up to be, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
at the end, but there is room for women in the military. And
Yeah.
honestly, there's a lot of support outside of the military for women that were in the military. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? A lot of my advisors and investors and my job, they love me because of that. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So yeah,
That's
nothing but good
fantastic.
things to say.
Not enough of it, I'll say. And this is, we see a
Yes.
lot of it in the work that we do. But yes, it's definitely changed. It's definitely
Mm-hmm.
gotten better since I got out of the Navy. So, but yeah, so
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, thank you. Ashley, thank you so much for being on, and thank you for all you're doing. And I love the vision, the mission that you're headed down. So if we can do anything to support you, please let us know. I'll look to keep up on all the fashion tips that you've got out there
Thank
too.
you.
So thank you so much, and just good luck with everything.
Thank you, Robin.